Okay, so it's 3 minutes past the hour. We're going to get started. Welcome, everybody. There will be more people joining us as we kick off, but let's get started because we've only got an hour together. If you've not already heard me mention on the screen are some instructions that will help you know where you can go to find interpretation. This session is being interpreted into Spanish. And also, if you're having any technical issues, please feel free to use the email address on this screen and contact our representative to help you figure out anything to do with the technical aspects. Very quick introduction for myself, for those who don't know me. My name is Helen Juice. I am the Interim Gender Diversity and Inclusion Senior Advisor at CGIAR. Outside of that, I play a number of different roles. I am the founder of a Lean In network in Singapore. I'm the executive consultant to INSEAD's gender initiative, and I also work for an organization called Include, which is a diversity and inclusion consultancy focused on inclusion and doing a lot of work in the area of mentorship. Before we kick off, we'd like to hear a few words from our executive sponsor, from Fiona Borden-Farrell, who is the Global Director of People and Culture. Fiona, would you like to say a few words to kick us off?
Thanks so much, Helen. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. You're very welcome to this International Women's Day event, which has been organised by the Women in Research and Science Employee-Led Resource Group, or WIRES for short. As Helen said, my name is Fiona Borden-Farrell. I'm the Global Director for People and Culture, and I'm thrilled to be here on this really important day to celebrate it with you. Thanks so much to WIRES for this invitation. It's great to be here. International Women's Day happens every year. So each year there's a new theme. And this year's theme really couldn't be more relevant for us in CGIAR. This year's theme is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Obviously, a sustainable tomorrow and gender equality is what we're at, what we're all about in CGIAR. It's what we're committed to. It is actually baked into our vision of a world with sustainable and resilient food, land and water systems that improves livelihoods and delivers greater social equality. And while we're driven by these outcomes, what we talk about less often is the link between the two. So in other words, how does gender equality deliver a sustainable tomorrow? For us, the answer is really easy. It's in our mission. There are now decades of credible and compelling research that shows a very strong link between diversity of thought and improved creativity and innovation. And a great predictor of diversity of thought is gender diversity. So for us, gender equity is not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do, because not only is it in line with our values, it's central to our ability to deliver on both our vision and our mission. So this is why gender diversity and inclusion in our workplaces has remained front and center in our plans as we transition to one CGIAR. At the beginning of 2020, you'll be aware that the new GDI framework and action plan set targets aiming to achieve 40% women in professional roles. And I'm really happy to share that as of December 2021, we've reached and slightly actually exceeded this target. There's also been significant advancement of gender balance in our leadership, with the representation of women in one CGIAR senior leadership now at 41%. The number of women scientists across CGIAR has also grown, with the scientist group reporting 35% women in December 2020, which was up from 28%. And when it comes to entry-level scientists, so those early in their career, postdoctoral fellows, junior scientists, associate research fellows, we're almost there. We're at near gender parity at 45% as of December 2021. So while all of this is really promising and an amazing progress, we know that when we disaggregate these numbers, we know that there are areas where we still have some way to go. And that's why we wholeheartedly embrace this year's theme. the WIRES ERG this year did not want to just celebrate or recognize the day. Instead, they wanted to do something very practical, something that would help us continue on this journey towards improved gender equality in our workplaces. And that's why we're focusing on the theme of mentorship. Numerous studies have illustrated that mentorship of women can have a positive impact on addressing gender inequality in organizations. The research also shows, unfortunately, that women can face more challenges than men when it comes to finding and securing mentors. So today, we wanted to inspire you to consider mentorship by equipping you with some tips and approaches to not only finding a mentor, but also building a constructive relationship with them. I'm also pleased to say that at the end of today's session, the WIRES ERG will have some exciting news to share with you about the development of a new cross-CGIAR mentorship program for women. I'd like to thank Helen Juice, our interim GDI Senior Advisor, and the Great WIRES ERG Coordinating Committee for organizing today's session. And I hope that you'll find the content engaging and inspiring, and most of all, useful. So thank you so much for the invitation to join today, and back to you, Helen. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Thanks for that. Fantastic. Okay, so let's get started. Before we do, we're just going to spend a moment sort of arriving and settling into today's webinar. So often we find that we're all in different physical locations, and we've all rushed to get here, and there's a lot of stress that we're bringing with us. So we're just going to do a really short sort of grounding meditation that's taken from Headspace. So I want to invite you to just make yourself comfortable. Everyone has their cameras off, so you can close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And we'll just walk through this short meditation. So no matter what's going on in your life right now, no matter how many thoughts are racing around your mind, no matter how your body's feeling, just take a moment to settle down and take a big, deep breath. Breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. Take another big breath, and as you breathe in, embrace that sense of taking in fresh air and feel your lungs expanding. And as you breathe out, a sense of letting go of any stress in the body or in the mind. Just feel the muscles soften and relax. Let's take one more deep breath, breathing in deeply through the nose and out through the mouth. And one more moment to pause, and then just gently open your eyes again, and we will kick off with our session. Okay, let's talk about what we'll be talking about today. So today we want to talk about what is mentorship, what are the benefits of mentorship, challenges women face when they're looking for mentors, and what the foundations of a successful mentorship relationship look like. And we're going to end by sharing some stories from the women across CGIAR, sharing their experiences of mentorship and the impact it's had on them. There is a Q&A. You'll see a button at the bottom. You can post your questions as you go. We won't be answering them until the very end because I'll be delivering the content today, so I won't be able to do both, but we will try and make time to get to any questions that you have as we go towards the end. And you should know that we're recording this session so that if you miss it and you have to leave early, or if you speak to somebody else and they want to hear more, you can share the recording with them. Okay, so let's get started. What is mentorship? So we've all heard, about mentorship, but let's just align on a sort of very simple definition. So mentorship is a relationship that involves a mentor and a mentee. And essentially, it's one where the mentor brings knowledge and experience and uses that to support the mentee's development. They meet together to set goals, to exchange ideas, and to discuss progress. But there are some sort of common misunderstandings about what mentorship is and how it might work. So we're going to launch a very quick poll to ask you to evaluate these 3 statements and whether you think they are true or false. So the poll is now live. So just have a quick think about these statements. Mentoring can only focus on one topic or area. A mentor will help their mentee secure a job immediately, and both mentors and mentees benefit from the mentoring relationship. So share your thoughts or your beliefs on this. You can see the votes coming in. Okay, we'll wait just a little bit longer, see if we can get a few more votes. We've got. Okay, that's great. If we can share the results, please. Okay, so what we can see is that everybody agrees that mentorship can only focus on one topic area is false. Well done, correct. A mentor will help their mentee secure a job immediately. Also, most of you responding false. Yes, they may help in getting you securing a job, but a little bit unrealistic to assume it will happen immediately. And both mentors and mentees benefit. Absolutely true. Great. So we're aligned on what mentorship is and what some of the myths are about it. So let's talk about this idea of focus. Where can you focus a mentorship on? So I think often there's a belief that you just get a mentor when you perhaps want a new role, but actually mentors can be much broader, can help on many different areas. The first is to think about style. So when I say style, I'm not necessarily talking about the clothes and hair and that sort of stuff. I'm talking about leadership style. I'm talking about management style. So a mentor can help with things to do with communication, perhaps to do with influencing effectively, things to do with how you show up and how you're being perceived. And so it can help with important aspects of your career that we know can make a difference. Equally, they can be more focused specifically on career. So when you're thinking about a new move, when you're thinking about how do I build a stronger network or tap into more industry knowledge, mentorship can help there. Equally, you could have a mentor that's very specific to your functional or technical area that can help build those very specific skills. There's also mentors that can help with thinking about life, whether it's work-life balance or a transition you might be making to a different career stage or a life stage. And finally, around community. So when we see this sort of broad list of all the ways that you can work with a mentor, I think what becomes apparent is it's rarely one mentor can do all of this. And therefore, I think we need to think not just about I have one mentor at a time, but maybe I need a number of mentors to help me with different aspects of my career and my life. But let's just unpack what the difference is between a coach, a mentor, and a sponsor, because sometimes this can cause a little bit of confusion. So let's start with a coach. So a coach is somebody that essentially talks to you. So a coaching relationship is where you would bring somebody in who would offer perhaps instruction or help evaluate or focus on a very specific development of a skill or training. And really they come as an expert and they come to share with you, this is what you should be doing. Think about doing this, think about doing that. So very much about talking to you. A mentor, in contrast, talks with you. So this is a relationship between two individuals around a focus area. And often that relationship, as you all noted, it's mutually beneficial. So it's not, I'm coming to tell you what to do, I'm going to direct you. It's we're going to co-create solutions together. We're going to discuss challenges and think together about how we can address these. And then finally, the sponsorship. And sponsorship is where the sponsor talks about you. So it talks about you in a positive way. So this is where you use somebody who can perhaps advocate for you or give you greater visibility, connect you to their network. So these three things are often interplayed, but slightly different. So we're talking today about the benefits of mentoring. So this is a piece of research done by a non-profit organization who does a lot of work in mentorship, and they looked at, they asked the people who were going through these extensive mentorship programs to report back on certain factors. What they found is that three key areas where mentors and mentees expressed a benefit. The first was around confidence. So 87% of mentors and mentees said they felt more empowered, they felt more in control of their destiny and being able to make things happen the way they wanted them to happen. 82% said that they felt that they had more connections, that this was a meaningful relationship that made them feel more connected. And then 84% said that they felt more inspired, that it was a way to provide inspiration about what they could do next and how they could improve on what they're doing. So considerable benefits for both the mentors and the mentees in a mentorship relationship. So given all this great stuff, we'd hope that, you know, we all had mentors and we were all having these fantastic mentor relationships, but in reality, that's not often the case. So let's try and unpack why that is. So we're going to launch another poll. So this is a piece of research that was done by Lean In and McKinsey & Company in the workplace study. And so on this poll, what we'd like you to ask you is to try and guess the answer to this question. So according to that study, women are how many times less likely than men to get advice from senior leaders? Do you think it's 8%, 15%, or 24%? Okay, so you can see lots of answers coming in. Fantastic. Just wait a few seconds more. Okay, great. If we could guessed 24%, and that is correct. So 24% less likely than men to get advice from senior leaders. So left to our own devices, without intervention, without considering finding mentors, we're likely to get less advice, the advice that we need, to get better at our roles, to have access to opportunities. So what we see from several different studies is that women face challenges seeking mentorship that men tend not to face. So everyone faces issues, it's just it's a sort of different set of issues. So what we hear is that women receive not only less advice, but often it's not direct and it's not actionable. So for example, a male colleague might get the advice of, when you're in a meeting, you're not making it clear to participants what you expect from them. Through with actions, and at the end of the meeting you need to summarize to make sure that people are clear when they leave the meeting what it is they need to do. Where a woman might get feedback such as, you're not very compelling in meetings. So one is very specific, you can really see some things you can work on. The other is sort of a, okay, well, thank you for that, but I'm not quite sure what I can do about that. And we see this time and again in studies that look at performance reviews and feedback that women get. We also know that in most organizations, unfortunately, the majority of senior people, the people that we're often looking to for mentorship, are still men. And what we find is that men find it easier to mentor other men. So left to their own devices, they're more likely to end up mentoring men than they are women, simply because of something called the halo effect. We feel comfortable with people like us. And so when we come across somebody of the same gender, it's easier for us to connect. So women struggle more because they have to try and navigate across an extra degree of difference that men don't. And so it means that they're less likely to get mentorship of people at senior levels. And then finally, and unfortunately, recent research shows coming out of Me Too that men are reporting they're now anxious about mentoring women for fear of it seeming inappropriate. So they're worried about the optics, because mentoring often happens casually outside of work hours. It might happen over coffee, over lunch, maybe after work drinks. And the optics of that, men are finding uncomfortable. And so we really have to think about how can we normalize and remove this anxiety, because what we can't have is situations where women are at an unfair advantage and not getting the mentorship they need. So those are some of the challenges that women face when seeking mentorship. And it's important that we address this. It's important not just on an individual level. So often when I speak to women about mentorship and why they haven't gone about trying to find one, they'll say, I don't want to ask, it seems too pushy, it seems too self-serving, it seems like I'm just grabbing for me. And I think the thing to remember is that when we talk about mentorship at an individual level, that helps you better navigate your environment, and it's essential for your progression, but it's also essential for the team that you're working within and the organization you're working with. Because when you get mentorship, you get access to information, to resources, to ideas that you bring back into the workplace and make you better at your job, which is better for everybody. So it's not just about an individual gain, it's a gain that makes you better for your team and for your organization. And in return, this is better for society. So it means that giving mentorship to everybody means everyone's able to contribute positively and give back to their communities. So that's a little bit about the benefits of mentorship and the challenges. Let's just talk a little bit about how we go about finding one. So this is often the first people want to know, okay, great, I'm in, I can see that this would be great for me. How do I go about finding a mentor? Okay, so 5 tips to share with you. The first is have a clear goal. I know that sounds really obvious, but often I will be asked by a young woman in my community if I could meet with her and mentor her, and then I'll say, okay, great, how can I help? And she will go, oh, I don't know, I've not really thought about that. And I'm like, really? So the first thing to do is just to think, okay, what is it that I'm looking for? What do I hope to get out of the relationship? What are my goals? Is there a hurdle I'm trying to overcome? Am I going through a transition? Do I just want to get better at a certain area of my work? But it is important that you are clear about what it is that you're trying to achieve with mentorship. So you can then think about, well, then who's the right person? Because depending on which of those focus areas you want to focus on, it is likely to be a different person that you would want to connect with. Most of the time, we believe that mentors should be senior and very senior, but actually you can be mentored by anybody, by somebody just a year or 2 years ahead of you, a peer. It's very easy to learn and grow from the people around us that we respect and have a different skill set to us. So it doesn't have to just be a senior person. And we do like to say it's never too early to be a mentor as well. So while you're thinking about how do I find a mentor, you should also think about how do I become a mentor? Because there's always somebody who is coming up behind you that could benefit from your experience and from your knowledge. So it's important to think about that both ways. So once you've figured out who the right person will be, then it's a decision of, is this going to be a formal or an informal approach to mentorship? Often we get stuck when we think, well, am I really going to write to somebody that I don't know very well, or ask them in a conversation, will you be my mentor? It can feel a little formal and it can feel like too much of a commitment. So if I haven't met you and you're asking me to be your mentor, I'm like, I don't know you. I mean, I don't know if I can commit to that. But if you write me a note and say, I really admire your work and I'd love the opportunity to learn from you. Can we meet for an hour? Or I'm facing a challenge in my role or my career and I could benefit from some advice. Could you spare me half an hour? I'm going to be saying yes. So many of us, when we think about it, have mentors already. We might not have named them that. We might not have created that formality, but they are definitely acting in that way. So don't worry about having to sort of call it mentor. You can still get mentorship without needing to signal that. The next is to make the ask. So whether formal or informal, it is really important that you do ask someone to be your mentor. We hear that 67% of people say that they know mentorship is important, but only 37% actually have one. And what it shows is because they don't want to ask. They feel that it would make the other person uncomfortable, or that the other person will be too busy. And actually, most of us like to help. So the example I give is if I was to write to any of you and say, we haven't met, but I'm new in my role and I'm still trying to figure things out at CGIAR. Could you spare half an hour to chat with me about some things I'm thinking about? I can't imagine any of you going, no, you don't want to help, sorry. All of us really are people who want to help. So remember that when you're reaching out to people, that they most likely will want to help. And then when you have that first conversation and you turn up to that first mentorship, back to point 1, building on that, be specific. So be clear about what your goal is. We often hear that people have a clear goal, but then they feel a little shy about sharing it, or they feel it's too pushy to share what it is that you need help with. And a mentor might not always say, how can I help? So you need to be ready to say, here's some ways that I need help. I don't know whether you can help me on these things, but these are the things that I'm considering. So 5 simple tips to think about finding a mentor. Practically, if you've done all this and then you're thinking, well, still, you know, who do I ask? How do I find that person? A good place to look is within your current network. Is there anybody in your network that you respect? Even if it's a loose connection. If not, you can ask your manager, or you can ask your peers, or even team members who they might recommend to be a mentor, and use them to make introductions and connections for you. So once you've found that mentor, you've got to make sure that you build a great relationship. And there's 3 things that you have to think about. The first is you have to think about trust, because it's important that both the mentor and mentee feel safe, because you're going to be sharing personal information. You're going to be sharing things about yourself. So you need to make sure that there is trust there. You need to make sure that there's respect, that you're recognizing that somebody is giving you quite a lot of their time and is investing in your success, and you need to respect that. And then finally, you need to think about communication and being clear and thorough to make sure that you get the most out of the experience. So let's go in just a little bit of detail about each of these areas. So when it comes to building trust, the first thing is to make sure that you set boundaries, and so that the discussion is kept confidential, especially if you've got a mentor within your workplace. And I think it is sensible to be explicit about this. Don't just assume the person will just get that it needs to remain confidential. I've fallen foul of this myself. I mentored somebody once, and they were having a problem, and I thought, I can go help fix that. And I went off and tried to fix it, thinking I was being a great mentor. And they were very, very angry that I'd spoken or done something on their behalf without asking them first. So it was a big lesson for me, that even if I think I'm doing it out of kindness, I need to check in and make sure that that's within the boundaries of the relationship. The second point is to say, be honest about your experience and background. This is not a time to spin or to exaggerate, nor is it a time to be modest and to hide your talents and skills. If the person's going to help you, they need to really understand, what are your strengths? What are the things that you're struggling with? And finally, make sure that you follow through and be consistent with what you've committed to do. So if your mentor has suggested, speak to this person, do this thing, and then you go away and they don't hear anything, they're not going to know if you have or you haven't. And if they next meet with you and you've just got another list of questions and you haven't communicated from the first time, they're going to be less likely to want to continue to mentor you, because they're going to think, I can't trust that this person will actually do some of the things I'm suggesting that they do. So it's important that you signal by writing back and thanking them for the advice they've given you, and making it clear what you plan to do, and then when you have, what you have done based on their suggestions. When it comes to respect with a mentor, it's about recognizing that they're busy and doing the lifting in terms of the organizing. So schedule the meetings, turn up on time, come with a clear agenda of what you want to get out of it, and some thoughtfully prepared questions and action steps. So really respecting that you want to get the most out of that mentor's time, and that you recognize it's precious. Second is to be open and listen to mentors' opinions and advice. You don't have to take on board the advice, but it is really important that you've signaled that you've heard it. So if you're given a piece of advice and you immediately say, no, that won't work for me, or I don't think it's a good idea, let me give you the 3 reasons why you're wrong, the chances are your mentor is going to disengage. So the best thing to do is to seek clarification. I just want to make sure I've understood the advice you've given me. Can I play back what you've just recommended? Afterwards, you can go away, consider, and decide, is that going to work for me? You know, is that something that I really want to do? But at that point in time, when you're with your mentor, it's building respect by really showing that you are properly listening and you're really considering what they're suggesting. And then finally, it's about just being appreciative and saying thank you. So making sure you don't forget afterwards to send a quick note and say, I really thank you for your time, and I really appreciate the time that you're spending with me. Final slide on thinking about actions to build communication. So be direct and share your goals. We've talked about this already. If the advice provided is unclear, make sure that you ask clarifying questions. Don't leave being unsure. Keep going back saying, I don't quite understand. Can you give me some examples? Can you be a little bit more specific? Is it this? Is it that? So that you really understand. And finally, proactively asking for feedback by asking very specific questions. How can I improve? What am I doing that what am I not doing that I should be doing? Recently had a mentor who said to me, what is it that I don't know that I need to know? That, you know, something that I'm not discussing that perhaps is a challenge that I should be discussing because I'm not even aware of it. So great mentorship question. So those are the tips that we want to give you in terms of finding a mentor and then building that relationship. But now we want to move on and we want to share some stories. So I'm going to pass over to one of the WIRE's EIG Coordinating Committee members, Muzna, who's going to introduce our panelists and talk a little bit more about WIRE's.
Thank you, Helen, and happy International Women's Day to you all. My name is Muzna Alvi, and I'm Research Fellow with the Environment and Production Technology Division of the International Food Policy Research Institute, and I'm based at the South Asia office, which is in New Delhi, India. I am also founding member of WIRE's, and it is under that specific hat that I will be introducing the storytelling section of this online seminar. We want you to hear the stories of 4 incredible CGIAR scientists who have had inspiring and transformative mentorship experiences. I would like to start by inviting Vartika Singh, who is Senior Research Analyst with IFPRI based in New Delhi. I want to request all our storytellers that when you come on, if it is possible for you, please turn your camera on so that everyone can see you while you're speaking, but it's totally fine if you cannot. Vartika, over to you.
Thank you very much, Muzna. And it is my absolute pleasure to be here with all of you and to share my journey within the CGIAR. So as Muzna mentioned, I am Senior Research Analyst with IFPRI, and I am also based out of the New Delhi office here in India. I am a first generation graduate in the family where a career in research was unknown. And the most common fields for careers for everyone was essentially technology and medicine. So in a way, I've already stood out amongst the people and made a career for myself in science here at IFPRI. My career in science began with my employment with IFPRI in 2012. So I have about spent a decade in the CGIAR now, and my mentorship journey has been nothing but fascinating. I have been grateful to have had both male and female mentors and have had very close association with some amazingly aspiring researchers, scientists, and individuals. For my story, I think I want to share 3 key things which summarize my mentee journey, and perhaps I would say these have been the stepping stones to helping me reach where I am currently. The first point which I observed was that all my mentors, they put me in the front. They gave me responsibility and allowed me to take control. Be it research, program management, project coordination, meetings, anything that you name it, they gave me the space to voice my opinions, help me make decisions, and also help me feel responsible for the success or failure of any task that I set on to do. I think that really helped me in a way that when I felt responsible for things, I tried to give my best. Which is something that you don't necessarily get opportunities for, because unless your supervisor or your mentor trusts you to make somewhat decent, I would say decent decisions, they wouldn't give you that space. But giving that space helped me take charge, and which is something that I really value and cherish. The second point was that they provided me with opportunities. They gave me these access to opportunities to present at conferences, to make networks, to connect me with their network, to guide me to the right set of people if I had any questions with regards to my work profile, with regards to personal development or professional development. I felt connected and not behind a barrier or a shield. So that was very good for me, as well as I had all the opportunities that I wanted to access to. And finally, I think my mentors inspired me by their own mannerisms, by the relentless pursuit of ambition, and they helped me think that there was nothing that would stop me, and that any path that I wanted to take was open for me. They understood when I did not want to do a PhD for personal reasons. And they also understood when I decided to do a PhD for professional reasons. They opened these doors for me, not in a way that I was spoon-fed, but also I was given right directions, where to apply, which universities to look for, what courses are correct, or what would be good for me and also hold value. So it is only courtesy my mentors that I'm currently enrolled in a PhD program that that was in a way tailored to my requirements. I still wanted to be in India, do an international degree, and be connected with an international network. So that I would say turned out really well for me. So these were the learning points for me from my mentorship experience. I would just say that having an inspirational set of people around me was something that I really cherished. I know someone who delivered a baby 6 weeks before her PhD defense. And having conversations with people like these have been immensely inspirational in this journey. And I hope that all of us are able to find mentors that guide us in our careers moving ahead. Thank you. That is, I think, my contribution.
Thank you, Vartika, and thank you for sharing your story. I think a lot of what you said resonates with me, being in the same organization, but also being part of this larger organization of CGIAR. I think a lot of what you have said resonates with several of those who are listening in. Before I move on to the next speaker, I want to encourage everyone in the audience to use the Q&A button to ask any questions that you have, and we'll try to answer as many as we can, either live or via chat. And of course, we'll share an email address where you can reach out later also if you have any follow-up questions. So moving on to our next speaker and storyteller, I'd like to invite Jemima Amiel, who was previously with Africa Rise and is now a PhD student in the UK. Jemima, the floor is yours. Jemima, I can't hear you. I don't know if it's just me.
No, we can't hear.
No, still can't hear. Jemima, do you, if you can hear me, I think maybe if you can try to reconnect and we can move on to the next speaker, and I'll call you back on if that's okay.
Okay, that's better.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
So yeah, happy Women's Day, everybody. I am Jemima, and currently I'm a PhD student in Cranfield University in the United Kingdom. This is a scholarship that I got with a partnership with UM6P University in Morocco and Rothamsted Research and Cranfield University. But before I came here, I was a research assistant in Africa Rise in Madagascar. I'm going to share you my experience on the mentorship, where I was a fellow in 2018 with the award fellowship program, African Women in Agricultural Research and Development. So I was a fellow in award, and award has as the goal as to empower women and to empower women in agricultural research to become more confident and capable and influential. And we had a mentoring program and also a series of leadership trainings. But for the mentoring program, I had to choose one mentor from my institution, and the mentor has to be one colleague, but at a different level. So I had one mentor, and we worked on a specific goal. At the time, I was a research assistant, and we discussed what was my vision, where I want to be. And we discussed what are the steps that I need to take to be able to attain this position that I would like to see myself in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years time. So we agreed in 2 years mentoring program. And during those 2 years, we had specific goals, we had specific actions, and we agreed on which skills I need to develop to be able to achieve those actions and to achieve my goals. And my mentoring journey was nothing but very beneficial for me. And it was rewarding also for my mentor. And he helped me a lot at introducing me to network and looking for my PhD scholarship, because that was one of my goal at that moment, because I wanted to move from a research assistant to become a researcher. So I had to take the first step of obtaining a PhD before I can become a researcher. So my supervisor, my mentor, helped me um, to look for scholarship, and he also intermediate if I had any issues within the institution. And he helped me to plan which skills I need to develop. And one of the skills that I am really thankful for that I got is that I had to learn English, because we are from a French-speaking country, and I wanted, one of my objectives was to have a PhD from a English-speaking country. Yet we are from a French-speaking country, and I had to learn English, to master English, and to obtain English certificate. I need to do that. And also we worked on how I should do presenting at a conference, presenting at any other meeting with regional or local partners, and how to do pitching. All those skills I benefit from the mentoring. And after I finished my 2 years of mentoring, and yeah, I would say that the mentoring was successful, because I could achieve most of the goals that we were agreeing to do, to achieve in our mentoring relationship period. And after I've finished my mentoring period, and I have a mentee as well within the award program. And that was a very rewarding experience for me as well. And particularly for as an earlier career woman in research, I had the opportunity to mentor a much more younger a fellow than me. And I had to share my experience and to share the little that I had to my mentee as well. Um, I always say to my mentee that, and that was also what my mentor has always encouraged me to do, to be ready, to be prepared for any opportunity that is coming. And that's in terms of the mindsets, and also in terms of what I would like to do. And so that I need to prepare all the documents already to be able to get the opportunity that I would like. So I need to prepare the documents that I need. For example, if I would like to go study to an English-speaking country, I need to have an English certificate. And also I need to prepare my research proposal, and I need to educate and cultivate myself in the research areas that I would like to be working on. And yes, the mentoring program for me was very, very much beneficial. And I encourage all women, particularly women that are still in an earlier stage in their career, to go and look for mentor. I was lucky because I didn't have to look for mentor because it was within the award fellowship program. But I encourage the other women as well to look for a mentor, because if I didn't have a mentor, I wouldn't be in the place that I am actually. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jemima, and thank you really for sharing your own journey from being a mentor to from being a mentee to a mentor. I think that was really interesting to hear. So our next speaker and storyteller is Alice Simbare, who is with the Alliance of Biodiversity and CIAT and based in Burundi. Alice, the floor is yours.
Good evening to everyone. I think you hear me. Do you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yes, as you said, I am Alice Simbare, and I am a scientist, a woman, a wife, and a mother. Yes, I do research since 2010 within Biodiversity International. Now is the Alliance with CIAT. My main activities are focused on banana seed system to address banana diseases and the food insecurity, and on promoting nutritional best practices to address malnutrition. My experience on mentorship is has been beneficial for me at my personal life and at my career level. I have a privilege to get my mentor in the framework of award. Award is the program of women in agricultural research and development. I have been in the program since 2018. For that program, I chose my mentor because I have informed on the program before I get the fellowship, and I was aware on the really need I had on my skills. I wanted to develop my interpersonal skills, also to progress in the career. Within the institution Biodiversity International, I have already observed someone who can allow me to get at that stage, and it went well. She helped me she pointed me on the right direction from her advices, her coaching, her constructive feedback. I lifted to a new step. I built that on them. She told me just at the beginning a key message. She told me, be positive, be always positive, and the positive things will happen in your life. Maybe she could not remember that, but I kept that in my mind, and that helped me a lot, especially on learning new things, to develop new skills, because you see that in the life, there are new requests for the life, for the work, there are new things coming. So we have to get enough skills to meet those needs. Also at the work, we have to build a good network with co-workers, with other people who can help you to get the strengths that you don't have. Even if you have skills, you can't go far alone. You have to be with the team, within the team. So from that time, I started learning new things, and that helped me to advance in my career. Because from the skills, the new skills I gained, I have been able to work differently at to achieve to meet my commitment than differently comparing to the way I have been doing my activities. Also, with the co-workers, it went well. We shared opportunities, information, and in case of issues, it was able to address those issues. So from the coaching of my mentor, it was very good, very good. She has always been able to respond to my my communication, my email, my messages, because she was not in my country. She was outside the country. Each time I contacted her, she was very responsive, and I appreciate that. The other women who still having issues, especially women who are in research, they have a problem to balance life and the work. They could check around them, people who, women or men who have strengths, who can help them to do a balanced life and work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice. And I think we're hearing a lot about the award fellowship mentorship program. And so I encourage people who are listening in to see if you're eligible and do apply for it. It's a very well-known program, and as you can hear, very rewarding as well. And finally, but not the least, we will hear from Beatrice Ekisa, who is based in Uganda with the Alliance of Biodiversity and CGIAR. And Beatrice, I know you have the unfortunate honor of being last to go, but I would really request if you could keep your remarks brief, because we have a few announcements to make right at the end. But thank you so much, Beatrice, and over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. Yes, okay, thank you so much, Alvi. I'm Beatrice Ekesa. I work with the Alliance of Biodiversity International, and I'm based in Uganda, and I'm originally from Kenya. First of all, just to explain who I am a self-driven, innovative woman, and my specialty is nutrition, where I look at assessing and optimizing the linkages between farming systems, dietary diversity, and nutrition outcomes. I am also a firstborn, and I'm currently the country representative for the Alliance in Uganda. And I also am a grant manager to a number of research initiatives in Africa and the Pacific. So in addition to that, I'm also a mentee and I'm a mentor. And last but not least, I'm a mother and a wife. So that describes me. Looking at the experience being a mentee, I'll first start by how I got into being a mentee. I'm happy to also say that I also went through the award program, but mine came in a different way because I didn't join as a fellow, but one of my senior lecturers at the university, when I was still, wrote me a message one day, and she was like, Beatrice, I would like to mentor you. At that time, I didn't even know what mentoring means. So I had to go to the dictionary and look at what is mentoring. And I was so honored for just that communication. So when I discovered what this was all about, I got back to her and I told her I would be glad to be a mentee and to be supported by you. So with that process, we really connected with her. I was able to gain a lot of confidence. You know, I was a very young, small and timid person, but just through the mentorship process, there was a lot of confidence development, learning that you are the best in what you do. So when you stand up, just say what you need to say and people will listen. So I learned and developed a lot of confidence being mentored. I was also able to set up my career path. You know, most of us just run through the career and things happen coincidentally. You're not able to plan, but I was able to intentionally set up my, we call it short-term goal, mid-term goal, and long-term goal. And all these things I have to set up thinking about other aspects in life. It's not just about career. What women go through is a lot. So I had to be guided in setting up all these things, considering where I am in my social life, where I want to be in 5 years in my social life, and how can that be tuned together with my career. So that was a very informative thing for me. I just now was able to move through life in a more intentional way. So, and then there was also access to information, because it's through this award program that all the information about vacancies within your area would come to you. I actually got to know about Biodiversity International Opportunity through the award system. So I was able to come and get employed, and I've been with the Alliance of Biodiversity International for now 15 years. I have grown so much. I started when I was just doing my master's as an associate scientist. I am now a senior scientist, and this has all been because of the mentoring process that I have gone through. Something else that I also benefited a lot is visibility. I was able to participate in a number of conferences. I learned how to make presentation. I learned how to pitch my speech and things like that. So these put me at a different level, especially when I come across a group and I have other people there. So it really built a lot into me, just not as a career woman, but also as a person, as a woman, as a mother, and things like that. And then I also learned how to balance my life, because I am a mother, I am a wife, I'm a career woman, I'm also leading a group of people. And all these things can be very confusing. So learning how to balance these wasn't so easy, but after that I mastered. It's about also making sure that you have a good social system or motivating system around you. Then you are able to prosper as a woman. So this was something that I learned so much through my mentoring process. And then what made it work between me and my mentor is I was very proactive. So I also encourage as women, when you get into the mentoring system, be as proactive as you can. Don't wait for the mentor to reach out to you asking this. No, reach out to them. Tell them, I need this. How do I get there? I'm seeing this opportunity. Is it possible for me to go for it? What do you advise? So being proactive was also something that made a great difference for me. Then just some key messages that I always learned throughout the process was one thing that was always drilled in me is that feel the fear, but do it anyways. Most of us, we want to get to some steps, but then we feel the fear and then we don't progress for that. So I learned that even if you feel the fear, have the confidence to still take up the role or take up the assignment, because there's nothing else that people can do. And if someone is not killing you, then don't be afraid. So that I learned through the process. Then the other thing, that don't be afraid to get noticed. Most of us as women, we attend meetings, we sit at the back, we keep quiet. But I was taught that don't feel shy to stand up and ask a question, respond to a question, put a point across, because that is when people will remember, okay, there was this meeting and Beatrice was there. So that is how you enhance your visibility. That is even when some mentors can pinpoint you and they'll reach out to you. And then lastly, what I also learned is that do not be ashamed to go for what you think you deserve. So don't be afraid to go for what you think you deserve. And whatever you put yourself to do, give it the best that you can. So all these things have grown and I've learned them through the mentoring process. And with that, I must say that it is very well to be mentored. It really makes a big difference. And currently, I'm still being mentored by my mentor, and I'm also mentoring a few other women. Thank you so much.
Beatrice, thank you. What wonderful and powerful messages to end the storytelling session on. So I know we are past time, but I wouldn't take much of your time. I just quickly want to conclude with a message and an announcement. So as many of you know, WIRE stands for the Women in Research in Science, and is one of the 3 employee-led resource groups established under CGIAR's Gender and Diversity and Inclusion Framework. Since WIRE's launched 2 years ago, we've organized multiple events to celebrate the excellence of CGIAR's women scientists, while also discussing internally on ways to better support them. So in a survey that we conducted internally, 75% of WIRE's members voted to increase mentorship support for women scientists. And we know that mentorship programs work best when they are properly designed, well communicated, and have visible senior level sponsorship. Which brings me to my announcement. WIRES will be launching a pilot mentorship program in the first half of 2022. This pilot has been co-created by WIRES ERG Coordinating Committee and the GDI function, and we'll kick off with stakeholder interviews and focus groups to gain a deeper understanding of the needs and identify opportunities and challenges. And as we embark on this path, we invite you to join WIRES. That way we will keep you informed of the next step and accompany and take you on your mentorship journey and support you in that journey as well. You'll find plenty of information on this and other WIRES activities on our webpage, which you can find at www.gdi.cgiar.com/WIRES. We hope very much that you will join WIRES, and there are a few different ways you can do it. You can either write to us on wires@cgiar.org, or you can reach out to any of us on the WIRES Coordination Committee, including your own center's representative. If your center does not have a WIRES representative, we'd be very glad for you to nominate yourself or ask someone else who you think might be interested in joining us in our WIRES Coordinating Committee team. When we launched WIRES, Claudia Sadov, the Managing Director of Research and Delivery Impact and EMT member, said that everyone deserves a workplace that enables them to reach their full potential. And while CGIAR is making good progress in gender equality, much more can be done. What we hope is that our mentorship program will be one among the series of decisive steps in creating a platform that supports the next generation of women scientists and science leaders in CGIAR. Thank you, and back to you, Helen.
Thank you, thank you. I'm sorry that we ran out of time. I know some of you had to leave already, but we just wanted to leave by saying a big thank you to everybody who helped put this together, to our wonderful storytellers for sharing their experiences, for Muzna for leading us through the panel and sharing how you can be part of WIRES, for a team of people that you can't see, but Michelle and Deborah and Isabel, who have been producing this in the background, and the whole of the WIRES ERG Coordinator Committee, and of course to Fiona for sharing those opening words. We hope that you picked up some interesting practical tips. I've answered all the questions that I saw in the Q&A, so hopefully you got the answers that you were looking for. And we really just encourage you to reach out and to be part of the WIRES network. Last thing to say is have a wonderful International Women's Day, and thank you for joining us.